Ladies, if you have itchiness down there, recurring UTIs, chronic fatigue, and other strange symptoms, you might be dealing with Candida, a fungal overgrowth that can wreak havoc on your body. My name is Nicole. I'm a functional nutritional therapy practitioner specializing in digestive issues and hormone imbalances. Be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell if you want to stay in the loop on new content. The good news about Candida is that you can treat it naturally. So, today we're going to look at some of the reasons that you might develop a Candida overgrowth, and then we'll get to how to fix it in the second half of the video. Candida is a naturally occurring form of fungus that usually lives in our mouth, skin, guts, and vaginas. So the scary thing about Candida is that when it becomes an overgrowth in the gut, they actually have these little mycelia that attach to our gut lining, and then they embed themselves there. And this can cause leaky gut and a whole variety of health issues, and so it's not a good thing. That's why you want to work with a holistic healthcare practitioner to help you go through a Candida elimination protocol and just make sure you're getting rid of all of the nasties. One thing I do want to mention before we really get into this is that we all have Candida in very small amounts in our body. The issue arises when this becomes an overgrowth, an abundance. And so this happens a few different ways. The first is through broad spectrum antibiotics. So I know we have all probably taken an antibiotic at some point in our lives, but repeated use of antibiotics does increase your risk of a Candida overgrowth because what happens is antibiotics literally come into your microbiome in your gut, and they nuke everything, including the good and the bad. And so in the absence of your good gut bacteria, this breeds an environment for bad bacteria like Candida to proliferate and overgrow. Another cause of Candida is excessive carbohydrates, usually refined carbohydrates, but really all carbohydrates and sugar in the diet. So these Candida thrive on sugar, and carbs and alcohol are broken down in the body, metabolized into sugar, and so literally those foods are feeding the bacteria, causing an overgrowth, creating the perfect environment for them to live and thrive. Alcohol also, in addition to being broken down as sugar, it also impedes our immunity. It slows our immune function from really firing on all 4 cylinders or 6 cylinders. And so we really don't want that wear and tear in our immune system, because our immune system is what keeps us strong and healthy and helps us fight off this kind of bacterial or fungus overgrowth. Stress is another big factor for Candida. Because when we are chronically stressed, we have elevated cortisol, and cortisol is our stress hormone, but it can also elevate our blood sugar, mess with our insulin sensitivity, and impair our immune system functioning. And so when all of those things are a little bit haywire, again, it just breeds the right environment for Candida. And if you combine that with a history of antibiotic use, poor diet that's high in carbohydrates and sugar, then you kind of have the perfect storm for a Candida overgrowth. Another reason Candida can proliferate is, believe it or not, hormonal birth control. And so birth control itself doesn't necessarily cause Candida, but we know that women who are on something like the pill or other forms of hormonal birth control, like an Mirena IUD, which emits synthetic progesterone, then your hormones are altered, your digestion is altered, and so things are just not running optimally. And so sometimes women can develop recurring vaginal yeast infections, and so that can be contained to down there. Unless it's recurring, then it becomes systemic, and then those Candida attach themselves to our gut lining. We get leaky gut, we get PMS, we get fatigue, we get all those terrible symptoms. Lastly, 2 things that you also need to consider if you have Candida, and especially are having trouble getting rid of it, is heavy metal toxicity and mold toxicity. So Candida love metals, and almost all of us have some level of heavy metal toxicity in our bodies. Those are mercury, lead, arsenic, cadmium, aluminum, and copper. Although copper isn't a heavy metal, it is toxic in excess. And so Candida actually at that point, when there are heavy metals present, serves a protective purpose in the gut, protecting the body from heavy metal toxicity, particularly copper and mercury. And so you're not going to get rid of the Candida as long as the heavy metals are still present in the body, because they thrive in that environment and they're also protecting the body from some of the negative effects of heavy metals. And then mold is another big one. It's very, very, very dangerous and tricky to treat mold toxicity. Definitely want to work with a professional, but mold also serves as like a protective layer against for Candida and heavy metals. They sort of form a perfect trifecta of chronic illness. And so if you have been exposed to mold in the way of, leaks in your home, floods, things like that, you definitely want to roll that out, work with a mold specialist to get the mold out of the environment and out of your body. Alright, now let's look at 3 ways to get rid of Candida. So step 1 is to starve the bacteria off. That is the first foundation, and this starts by eliminating all sugar from the diet, including carbohydrates. So you don't have to go completely no carb. You can still eat tons of vegetables, but you do want to get rid of those starchy carbs. So gluten, grains, even gluten-free grains, definitely all, processed treats and snacks and things like that. Even starchy root vegetables like sweet potatoes and carrots, and then alcohol. So all of those have to go for at least 30 days. Probably longer. I mean, you can be on a Candida protocol for up to 3 months or even longer. And step 2 is to incorporate some natural antifungal herbs into this protocol to help kill off the Candida. So I use a few supplements in my own practice that include a variety of natural antifungals like caprylic acid, olive leaf, emulsified oregano oil, liposomal vitamin C, golden seal, berberine, Oregon grape. Those are all really, really great antifungals to use. And you probably want to be doing this for the same amount that you are doing the diet. Then you want a really good binder to grab on to the dead fungi so that they don't get reabsorbed back into the body and release the toxins that occur when they die. So some of the binders I really like are activated charcoal, bentonite clay, chlorella, silica, and then some pectins. So apple pectin or citrus pectin can be really, really great at helping to eliminate dead toxins from the body. Then lastly, step number 3 is to repopulate the gut with good bacteria via probiotics. So you really want a high quality probiotic, at least 100 million CFUs. I really like spore-based or soil-based probiotics. You just want to make sure that they are really high quality, and then they have a wide variety of strains. And so the benefit of soil-based and spore-based is that they survive stomach acid and they get into the intestines where they need to go, and they can be used alongside antibiotics, especially a spore-based probiotic. That's all we have time for today. Make sure you leave a comment if you like this video, if you have any questions, or if you have any ideas for future topics. And we'll see you in the next one. Stay healthy.